Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are reviewing some more custom cards made by Hazash for his Dawnguard expansion. And today we are looking at some support cards that use... I need to stop using those support cards because support will make you think of the actual, support cards themselves, not like... Okay, they are assisting synergy cards. There you go, look at that. All of which using Treasure Hunt to basically help their archetypes out a bit more, because we saw Treasure Hunt first enter Elder Scrolls Legends in the Return to Clockwork City story mode expansion, which was actually a really good fun one, but not many cards are actually made with the ability, so it's nice to see, you know, a few more cards using it. And as mentioned here, that these are all kind of tribal focused decks that the cards are made for. So moving on, we will look at the first card, the Forge Wife, a 2-cost 1/3 orc with Treasure Hunt orc, and we'll give both cards +1/+1. So not only will this go up to a 2/4, it will also give something else a +1/+1, which is really useful, and it works very well with many warrior orc decks. For anything just involving orcs, makes it very good. So there's not really much to say with a lot of these cards, so we might whiz through this one very quickly, because a lot of them, they're all just very nice and simple abilities. Next we have the Dragon Cultist, a 2-cost 2/2, which will Treasure Hunt dragons, and then buff them both up by +1/+1. And again, it's a nice card. Oh, sorry, that was a horrible voice break. And it definitely helps with, say, Battle Mage, Guild Sworn, literally anything involving intelligence and dragons. It's a nice fit in just to get a bit more kind of buff and kind of fit nicely into the early part of the curve, as they've mentioned here, and get you ahead in the game nice, simply and early. Next we have Hircine's Chosen, which is a 3-cost 2/4 with Treasure Hunt Animal, and will give both cards +1/+1. Now, what I would say here is that I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of it being a willpower card. I know you've obviously got like wolf decks and stuff that you can make with willpower, but I think agility would have helped it so much more. But I can understand with how the set's laid out why this card didn't get agility and was getting willpower instead, because there are cards which come with later sides of the expansion which would definitely need the next card we're going to show off, while Hircine's Chosen is mainly just for animal decks, which would probably be Empire of Cyrodiil, or maybe even like Monk animal decks, which could be a bit strange, but you never know. People like to make their decks, don't they? With the stats, 3 costs 2/4 is very nice, and definitely something that kind of works with quite well. Next we have the Chorus Hunter, and as mentioned, you see there's a lot more text here. This one's probably one of the more important ones, as it's a 4-cost 5/3, which will kind of buff up Falmer cards, and we got more coming that you'll get to see tomorrow. Woo! And as I've mentioned here, it's basically kind of helping that Falmer archetype. It's got a nice card art as well, which is from Gwent. If you know the card, I think it's called like V or something like that. I mean, it's a Gwent card, we don't need to know the exact name. But I think it's quite nice having it be a 5-power, 3-health card as well, because it's quite nice to see like a good bit chunk of power on the unit ready to start throwing at people. And yeah, he even says that it kind of makes sense lore-wise, because these ones were known to be a bit flimsier than the counterparts, meaning that the kind of health stat lines work very well. Anyway, we shall move on to the Tomb Delver, a 3-cost 3/3 which has Treasure Hunt Undead. Now, Undead is quite good of a description for this, because it means that it can go incredibly well into so many different undead decks. Could be skeletons, could be vampires, you name it. Could be spirits. God knows. But, I mean, obviously, him as a Breton. If it was Breton plus vampire, obviously it wouldn't really make too much sense here, but it would be even better then. But right now, as it is, it's still a good card and makes a lot of sense, and even fits into like the theme of what things are. we've now got the Restless Adventurer, a 2/3/2 Nord plus Spirit, who, as they've mentioned, is based on, is it Catria or is it Catria? Catria sounds more normal. The ghostly woman that you meet while searching for the Ethereum Forge. Anyway, she has the ability Treasure Hunt neutral +1/+1. And when a friendly treasure hunter finds something, this card becomes immune to damage for the rest of the turn. Which is a wonderful ability because not only is it making it so, you know, it's immune to damage, meaning you can easily hit into units and not have to worry about trading the card itself, but also the fact that because you will obviously treasure hunt. You can like treasure hunt off like prophecies and, well, not off prophecies, but like off a rune shattering or something like that. It's a lot more likely to happen on your turn, making it not completely ridiculously like difficult to deal with, but fits in very well. I'd say one thing that it would need is, like, as mentioned there, Aldor of the Daring is probably one of the few cards that would make this quite viable, because you'd need to have things which will treasure hunt a lot. There's also like Ratway Cutpurse, or like that other strength card, which could also treasure hunt quite a bit. So there's a few options here to kind of make it really get the immune to damage quite frequently. Anyway, finally we have Madanak, the King in Rags, a 5-cost 5/5 with summon Sid in the Mind, supports a bit like Carl Grunted, and friendly creatures are permanently shackled unless you have another creature that shares its type. So, for instance, you got another Reachman, he's perfectly fine, which is an interesting one to have for him. We can get quite often, I could very much see that he is literally the King in Rags and is shackled away like he is in Skyrim, unless you're running a few other Reachmen, which obviously makes sense too, but can be a bit weird to run anyway. Anyway, onto Sid in the Mine itself. It is a free use support, and when activated you can choose a friendly creature and draw a random creature from your deck which shares a type with the chosen creature and gives them both +1/+1. So if you use it on Madanak himself, it will grab a random Reachman from your deck, but if it's something like Restless Adventurer, it could get you a Nord or a Spirit because of its 2 types that it's got, and it'll buff both cards. It's a very cool card, and it definitely makes a lot of thematic sense. And I think this here, even though obviously Reachman has got its own type, if it had like a secondary type as well, it could fit in so well to like that racer's kind of like single decks. Like I think Madanak might be a Breton. He's a Breton, because he's the King in Rags, isn't he? Or the Reachmans are, because that's, well, they're in Markarth. They're in the west side of Skyrim, which is where, you know, like, it's bordering High Rock, which is where the Bretons are. But yeah, the card's got a lot of very cool thematic analysis and thematic symbolism. There you go. And it does mention that the expansion will bring a few other Reachman cards as well, so it could make Reachmans themselves a bit more viable, but obviously you'd have to keep that in mind, that Reachmans don't really have many cards at the moment. Although that being said, I did make a video of some custom cards I made ages ago which had some Reachman cards, and I think ones like that could fit in really well with Madanak. Because I don't think Madanak was actually even in my... No, I didn't even use him in my expansion. So this would actually fit really well into the cards that I'd made ages ago. I don't know why I'm self-plugging myself. I should probably put a link to that as well in the description. But yes, this is the kind of treasure hunting set. You can tell, obviously, with Sid in the Mine, obviously, as you're drawing something of the same type, you can see here it would set off all these treasure hunts, which makes it all work so much better. But yes, this will end the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you so much to Hazash for making this set, and I'll see you in the next one.